we're gonna do this with the mic. We're gonna lower it down. How's that work? Like that? Okay. And they can hear it like that?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Shh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا والسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه وخليله أرسله الله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله وكفى بالله شهيدا أما بعد. I chose as a topic for tonight envy, hasad. You can't fix yourself by breaking somebody else. It's a dangerous quality from, and it differs from culture to culture, nationality to nationality. And since I'm here at a predominantly African American community, I thought that it would be appropriate for us to have this discussion. Jealousy and envy runs through us. As the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Shaitan yajri fi ibni Adam majra dam. Shaitan flows through the child of Adam like blood. And envy flows through the African American community, especially African American men, like blood. We have this quality amongst us is rampant, and a lot of it has to do with our own personal issues. It's not something that, we went to the store and purchased. It's not something that was dumped into our communities like drugs and alcohol and McDonald's and all of the other poisonous things that have been, superimposed on us from the outside. However, jealousy and envy is something that is inherent within us as a people. It has destroyed many communities. It has destroyed many families and households. I mean, I'm talking about envy even amongst husband and wife. I'm talking about situations where even a husband is jealous of his own wife, or vice versa. A wife is envious of her own husband, or vice versa with with the children and the parents. All right, so inshallah ta'ala, hopefully you guys can stay with me while we have this discussion, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. So as I begin, I'll begin with a quote, as I like to always begin with a quote, as to set the precedence, and then always to come back and meet that quote. My lectures are sort of like a circle, a complete circle. So wherever we start, we always come all the way full circle back to that same point at the end of the lecture. All right, and my quote is, never admire another man's fortune so much that you become dissatisfied with what you already have. Never become so focused on what someone else has, all right, that you forget about the blessing that you have. All right, because quiet is kept. The person that's envious is someone who fails to see his own value, fails to see their own value, their own quality, and what they bring to the table, because you're so constantly pressed on, focusing on somebody else's value. So one of the most dangerous human qualities that we can associate ourselves with as human beings, which is indicative of our own dissatisfaction with the divine decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the qadr of Allah, and it accentuates a deeper sense of self-aggrandizement, is the quality of hasad. The quality of hasad. Envy, we translate hasad as jealousy, but hasad is actually envy, which is far worse than jealousy. And I'll explain the difference between those two terms. Envy, by definition, is a psychotic state which a person which wishes for the deprivation of a blessing, a talent, or a merit, whether real or imagined, possessed by another person. I'll say that again. It is a psychotic state. Psychotic state wherein a person wishes for the deprivation of a blessing, a talent, or a merit, whether real or imagined, all right, possessed by someone else. In Arabic, tamanni az-zawal and ni'mat al-ghayr is to desire for the blessing or the merit that someone else has, that it be taken away from them, that they be stripped of that blessing. Okay? And it's real. It is real. It exists amongst siblings. It exists, as I said, between husband and wife. It exists in communities on so many different levels. All right? Even amongst people who we would probably never expect jealousy or envy to exist amongst. And as people of knowledge, we would never imagine that people who have knowledge, people who are supposed to be the flag carriers of this religion, we would never in our wildest dreams imagine that they could be afflicted with envy and jealousy for one another. But as a matter of fact, as I will come to, Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala, he said the strongest levels of envy exists between students of knowledge and scholars. The strongest levels of envy and jealousy usually exists between students of knowledge and scholars. Ibn Qayyim. And I'll come to the quote, and there are tons of examples, even amongst someone as famous as Imam al-Bukhari, rahimahullah ta'ala. Imam al-Bukhari, Muhammad ibn Ismail, who we all know, the author or the compiler of Sahih al-Bukhari. He was someone who had been gifted with the ability to memorize without writing. And his own sheikh became envious of him and ended up lying on him to the point where no one would sit with Imam al-Bukhari and take knowledge from him. He died, rahimahullah ta'ala, as a man, who has exhausted all of himself in trying to make sense of why his own sheikh would be envious and jealous of him to such a degree that he would lie on him in order to chase people away from him. This thing is real. This is not a joke. All right? So it's a psychotic state which a person wishes for the deprivation of a blessing, a talent, a merit, whether real or imagined, possessed by another person. Not realizing that you don't have that blessing for a reason. The person in their state of hasad, in their state of envy, they don't even realize that the reason why you don't have the thing that you are envious of, all right, is for a reason. As I mentioned in the khutbah, that Shayban al-Ra'i, he said to Sufyan al-Thawri, he said, "Ud man'ullahu laka hadiyatan lak." He said, count the fact that Allah withholds something from you as a gift to you. Count the fact that Allah withholds something from you as a gift to you. He said, فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَمْنَعُ بُخْلًا وَإِنَّمَا يَمْنَعُ لُطْفًا. He said, because Allah doesn't withhold something from you out of stinginess. Allah only withholds from you out of mercy. Out of mercy for you. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He doesn't give you something, it's not because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is being stingy. Allah doesn't care about this dunya. He gives it to whomsoever He wills. Salih, talih, someone who's righteous, someone who's not righteous. Mu'min, kafir, someone who is a believer, someone who is not a believer. He gives it to whomever. The dunya doesn't mean anything. As a matter of fact, the Prophet ﷺ said that if this world meant as much to Allah as a junah al-ba'udha, as the wing of a gnat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wouldn't have given those who disbelieve in Him even a drink of water. But this dunya means nothing to Him, so He gives. But if Allah withholds something from you, from this world, It is not because he's stingy. It's out of mercy for you. Because that thing might hurt you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَيَدْعُ الْإِنسَانُ بِشَرِّ دُعَاءَ لَهُ بِالْخَيْرِ, that the human being supplicates, makes dua for evil just as often as he makes dua for good things. Oh Allah, bless me with this and bless me with that. Oh Allah, give me this, give me that. And the thing is actually harmful for you. So Allah doesn't give it to you. Not because he's stingy, but as a mercy to you. Okay? So we don't even realize that the reason why we don't have the thing that we are so envious of this person for, the reason why we don't have that is because it's actually a blessing that we don't have it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, عَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُ شَيْئًا وَيَجْعَلَ اللَّهُ فِيهِ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا, that perhaps you may hate a thing and Allah has placed an abundance of good in it. Perhaps you may hate that Allah did not give that thing to you, but in you not having it, there's an abundance of good in it for you. There's an abundance of good in it for you. Perhaps you may hate a thing, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed an abundance of good in it. And as I mentioned in the khutbah, the hadith al-Qudsi, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ مِنْ عِبَادِيَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ مَنْ لَا يُصْلِحُ إِيمَانَهُ إِلَّا الْفَقْرُ فَلَوْ أَغْنَيْتَهُ لَأَفْسَدَهُ ذَلِكَ. He said, from amongst my believing servants are those whom nothing would be good for their faith except to keep them poor. Because if I was to enrich them, that would destroy them. It would destroy you. There's some of us that are broke for a reason. Reasons that we probably don't understand, but in the greater wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it makes all the sense in the world. It makes all the sense in the world. Nonetheless, there are some people who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses them and tests them with certain things because that is good for them. All right? There's some people who spend their lives trying to have a certain look. And even though they achieve that look, it becomes artificial. But if you were given that look naturally, it would destroy you. I mean, since we're on the topic, you think about what this rapper, Little Kim, did to herself just recently. I don't know if you guys are aware of that, right? Bleached her skin, had some changes done to her face, right? All to have a certain look. If you are going to that extent to have a look, how do you believe you would act if Allah had already created you with that look? You understand what I'm saying? Like, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so merciful that if Allah wanted you to be light-skinned with long hair and a slim nose, and if Allah wanted to, He could have created you like that. But if He would have created you like that, if you went to this extent to have that look, what do you think you would have done had you already been born with that look? You had the privilege of having that look from the very beginning. Looks destroy people, man. And then there are people who go after a certain look. They don't have it, but they go after it. And they destroy themselves in pursuit of it. So if you would destroy yourself in pursuit of a certain look, what do you think you would have done to yourself if you were already born with that look? I mean, does that make sense? I mean, think about that. You know? So there's people who destroy themselves in pursuit of money. I'm going to get this money, right? And you spend your whole lives chasing a dollar. Chasing. I know guys that are in their 40s, man, still sell drugs. I'm really just trying to figure out, like, I mean, like the first 2 decades of your life, you didn't get it. Because there's some people that come into the game and take off like a rocket, and those are usually the ones that end up with life behind bars, right? They have their window of time where they live it up, but then all of that comes crashing down, all right? There's no successful end in that situation. But then there's others that just chip off crumbs here and there their whole life. 40 years old, you still hustling. It's like the first 20 years of your life, that didn't teach you anything. if you didn't get it by the first 20, you shouldn't spend your second 20 trying to chase something that you didn't get in your first 20. We just don't get it. But if you would destroy yourself in pursuit of money that you will probably never get, what do you think you would have done to yourself had you been given it in your first 20? You would have destroyed yourself. I mean, it's crazy. The human being, man, human behavior is just always been amazing to me, man. Anyway, so if you notice in the definition, the usage of the word imagined, an imagined blessing, and that is because to an envious person, it doesn't matter whether the blessing that they perceive is actually a real merit or something that is just a figment of their imagination. Right? It doesn't matter to them because they are so hell-bent on you not having what they perceive to be a blessing. It might not even be a blessing. In their mind, in their psychotic state, they see you and what they perceive is a blessing, but it's not even real. It's just imagined in their own mind. They believe that this person has a blessing or a merit that they don't have, and they don't want them to have it. But in your mind, you're like, oh my God, like if I could give this to you, I would give it to you. You know what I mean? Like the saying goes, like if I had your hands, I'd cut mine off. I would give it to you. But in their mind, they're thirsting for it. They want it so bad. But in your mind, you're like, Dad, you want this so bad. You are not about this life, man. You know? And I mean, we can use so many examples of that. And this and other internal vices, envy and other internal vices like it, have been deemed sinister and ominous and therefore haram in Islam. These things are evil. It's an evil quality. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, قُلْ إِنَّمَا حَرَّمَ رَبِّيَ الْفَوَاحِشَ مَا ظَهَرَ مِنْهَا وَمَا بَطَنَ وَقِيلَ مَا بَطَنْ يَعْنِي الْحَسَدِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran that say, my Lord has indeed made all forms of indecency and immorality haram. That which is apparent and that which is more secret. And the scholars of tafsir say that which is more secret means hasad. It includes envy. Envy is a symptom, all right? It's a symptom of a lack of appreciation of our own uniqueness. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created every single one of us, He gave each one of us the propensity or the potential for a particular level of greatness. Every one of us has a gift, something that they're good at. And when you become envious of someone else, you stifle your own uniqueness. You ignore and overlook and neglect your own uniqueness because you are so concentrated on what somebody else has that you forget about appreciating your own uniqueness and your own self-worth, which we project on others. All right? And Islam encourages us to be internally conscious of our own vices. All right, many of us, we embrace Islam, accept Islam, and we just thought that, once I take my shahada, any vices or ills that I was suffering from is just magically going to disappear. It doesn't work like that. Those things you have to work on. Those things don't just go away, right? Depending on what your household was like and how you were raised and the things that were done to you as a child, right? Those internal vices that were created because of whatever it was that we went through in our childhood. Maybe your parents divorced at an early age. Maybe your parents were abusive to you, right? I mean, those things created certain vices inside of us. Low self-esteem, low self-respect, a lack of, self-worth. You know what I mean? And, we see other people with things and we desire those things, middle child syndrome, first child syndrome. All right, those things are real. And Islam encourages the Muslim to be conscious of his own internal ills and not to ignore that. All right, but we live in a very superficial time. So when we take shahada, we convert to the religion of Islam. We just concentrate on salat, we concentrate on wudu, we concentrate on the basic rudiments of the religion. And we don't go deeper than the surface. We don't go deep to combat those internal vices that we all suffer from. You know, whether it's lying, whether it's cheating, stealing, always trying to get over, you know what I mean? And you see brothers with some of those same qualities. You know, you never want to pay full price for anything. You're always looking for a handout. That's an internal vice, man. You know, a lack of integrity. You one way in the masjid, you one way outside of the masjid, you one way around the Muslims, you another way when you're around people who are not Muslim. You understand what I'm saying? Like that, those are internal vices that, you know, I don't really see an encouragement to combat those things. I don't see workshops that are set up and designed to help us confront those things. Nonetheless, the religion encourages us to be aware of our own, you know, our own vices, because the one who fails to, you know, confront his own evils, his own devils, all right, his own vices, is the one that will not benefit from his soul. All right. And you won't benefit from the external admonition of others. When others advise you or admonish you from the outside, it's not going to do anything for you, because internally you have not confronted. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Inna fil jasadi mudgha, idha salahat salaha al jasadu kullu, wa idha fasadat fasada al jasadu kullu, ala wa hiya al qalb." That in the body there's a lump of flesh. That if that lump of flesh is healthy, if it is sound, if it is upright, righteous, right, then the rest of the body will conform likewise. But if that lump of flesh is corrupt, it's immoral, all right, indecent, then the rest of the body will be likewise. And that lump of flesh is what? The heart. It's the heart. So if you don't work here internal, like change starts from the inside, not from the outside. We don't work outside, then work on inside. We start from the inside and then work ourselves outwardly. All right. We've been fed the different narrative. We've been fed, coming to Islam, make your 5 salats a day, you know, concentrate on, you know, Ramadan, and concentrate on this and these, pull your pants above your ankles, grow your beard, you know, don't go to that masjid, stay around these brothers. Those are all external issues. Nobody ever talks about the internal vices and the internal demons that have been lingering inside of us for years. Years, even some of us as Muslims. These demons have been lingering inside of us for years. We've never confronted them. One of the scholars of the past, he said, "Man lam yaj'al lahu min nafsihi wa'idha, fa inna mawa'idh an-nas lan tughniya anhu shay'an." Whoever does not have, or whoever fails to create an internal admonition inside, he will never benefit from the external admonition. If you don't create inside yourself, meaning rectify your heart to a degree where you begin to confront your vices and your demons internal, then when people advise you from the outside, it's not going to do anything for you. And the scholars, they say, ma'rifatul illa nisful ilaj. Ma'rifatul illa, understanding the disease, nisful ilaj is half of your cure. Understanding your disease is half of your cure. The greatest danger of envy is that it makes the envious person, it makes the envious person an enemy to the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? The person that is envious, they become enemies to the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, talking to the Jews, أَمْ يَحْسُدُونَ النَّاسَ عَلَى مَا آتَاهُمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ. Are they jealous of people because of what Allah has bestowed on them from His bounty? Essentially, you are becoming an enemy to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's blessing. It was mentioned in the Hadith al-Qudsi, where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قال الله تعالى لموسى يا ابن عمران لا تحسدون الناس على ما آتيتهم من فضلي ولا تمدن عينيك إلى ذلك ولا تتبعه نفسك فإن الحاسد ساخطا لنعمتي ضاد لقسمي الذي قسمت بين عبادي ومن يك كذلك فلست منه وليس مني. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to Musa, O son of Imran, لا تحسدون الناس على ما آتيتهم من فضلي. Don't be envious of the people because of what I have given to them from my bounty, from my blessings. He said, وَلَا تَمُدَّنَّ عَيْنِكَ إِلَى ذَلِكَ. And don't stretch your eyes looking in a desirous manner at what I have given some of my creation. Don't stretch your eyes forth desiring what I have given some of my creation, nor allow your soul to incline towards that. He said, فَإِنَّ الْحَاسِدِ سَاخِطًا لِنِعْمَتِي. He said, because the one that is envious is an enemy to my blessing. The one that is envious is an enemy to my blessing. He said, and he hates, was an opposition to the way that I distribute my blessing, my bounty to my creation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you this, or Allah gave this person this. I mean, we enjoy those blessings, but initially the blessing came from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you're jealous of this person or jealous of that person, initially you are jealous or you are envious of the fact that Allah distributed His bounty in the way that He did. So you are initially an enemy to the blessing of Allah, and you are oppositional to the way that Allah has distributed His bounty amongst His creation. He said, and whoever is like this, then I am not of him and he is not of me. He is ungodly. I am not of him and he is not of me. The Prophet ﷺ further emphasized this concept with his statement, Inna li ni'amillahi a'da. The Prophet ﷺ said, indeed, the blessings of Allah have enemies. The blessings of Allah have enemies. He said, so it was said, Qila manhum ya Rasulullah. Who are they, O Messenger of Allah? Who are these individuals who are enemies to the blessings of Allah? The Prophet ﷺ said, Alladhina yahsudun an-nas ala ma atahum Allahu min fadli. Those who are envious of people because of what Allah has given to them from His bounty. And this was collected by Imam al-Tabarani. Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, Aslul hasad huwa bughdu ni'matullahi ala al-mahsud wa tamanni zawala. Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, the essence of envy is to hate the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He has given to the person that he is envious of, and to desire that blessing to be taken away from that person. All right, and the scholars, they say that maratib al-hasad arba. There are 4 levels of envy. Ready for this? 4 levels of envy. Number 1, تمني زوال النعمة عن المنعم عليه ولو لم تنتقل للحاسد. Number 1 is to desire the blessing that has been given to someone to be taken away from them, even if you don't have it for yourself. Maybe you don't want it for yourself, you just don't want that person to have it. You don't want it for yourself, you just don't want that person to have it, right? That mentality, if I can't have it, nobody can have it, right? If I can't have it, nobody can have it. That's the first level of jealousy, of envy. تمني زوال النعمة على المنعم عليه ولو لم تنتقل إلى غيره إلى الحاسد. It's the desire that the blessing that has been given to the person be taken away from them, even though it's not transferred over to you. Number 2, تمني زوال النعمة عن المنعم عليه وحصوله عليها. The second level of envy is the desire that the blessing be taken away from the person and you have it. I don't want you to have it, I want it for myself. All right? I don't want you to have it, I want it for myself. Number 3, تمني حصول على مثل النعمة التي عند المنعم عليه حتى لا يحصل التفاوت بينهما. فإن لم يستطيع حصوله عليها تمني زوالها عن المنعم عليه. Number 3, the levels of envy is to desire the same type of blessing someone else has, so that there would be no distinction between you and someone else. All right? So you see the person with a blessing and you want the same thing, so no one has anything over you, right? He said, and if you can't have it that way, then you want the blessing to be taken away from them. Dangerous, man. Wallah al-Azim, there's people walking around amongst us right now that are like this. They want exactly what you have, so that they can get the same type of praise you get. They can get the same type of status you have. All right, there's no tafawut, there's no distinction between you and someone else, right? And if they can't have it, then they want it to be taken away from you. They don't want you to have it, right? I'll give you a small example, and there are tons of examples that I can give for this. Marriage, right? And this happens with a lot of times with sisters. They're both single. One of them gets married, so the other one is looking for marriage, trying to scramble, hurry up and get married, so she's not the oddball in the clique, right? In the squad, right? And then when she can't get married, or she gets married and then it crumbles, she gets married again and it crumbles because she's trying to keep up with her girlfriend, right? But it's not really working out for her because she's going into marriage for the wrong reasons. Allah's not blessing you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not putting any barakah in your marriage because you're trying to keep up with the Joneses, right? You're not marrying for love. You're not marrying to be in love. You're not marrying, you understand what I'm saying? That might be in there somewhere, but the initial reason is that I don't want to be the one left out, not married. So you scramble, you marry anybody, you lower your standards so you can hurry up and get married. You get married, it doesn't work. You fail marriage after failed marriage, and then you are left with the realization that your friend is happily married and you are miserable. So what do? Misery loves company, so you go after and try to destroy somebody else's marriage. It happens every day. It happens every day. So you desire the same type of blessing someone else has, and if you don't get it, then you desire for that blessing to be taken away from them. Very dangerous, man. And the last level of envy is what is known as al-ghibta, competition. وهي تمني حصوله على مثل النعمة التي عند المنعم عليه من غير أن تزول عنه. That you desire to have the same blessing that someone else has, but you don't want it to be taken away from them. This is healthy. This is probably the most healthy form of envy, if I could even call it envy. The scholars call it ghibta, which is like competition, right? You're competing with one another for a particular thing, and even though you don't get it, you still don't want it to be taken away from that person. You still want them to have it, okay? So these are 4 levels of hasad, of envy, as it was mentioned by Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala. قال معاوية ابن أبي سفيان قال ليس في خصال الشر أعدل من الحسد يقتل الحاسد قبل أن يصل إلى المحسود. Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, he said, there's no quality from the many qualities of evil like envy. No quality like it. From the many qualities of evil qualities that you can think of, there is none comparable to envy. He said the envious person will kill himself before his envy even reaches the person that he is envious of. You kill yourself. As there's a saying that being envious of someone is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. Right? This is envy. You drink poison and you're sitting back waiting for the other person that you are envious of to die. Right? Muawiyah said that the hasid, yaqtul nafsa, will kill himself first before his envy even reaches the person that he is envious of. The person that you are envious of might not even know that you're envious of them. It's like, you know how sometimes people, they always make it seem like you and them are in competition. I was like, I didn't even know we were competing, but okay. I didn't even know we were in competition. You know, people have these silent competitions, you know, with this person and that person. And you didn't even know that you were competing. I didn't even know it was a competition. But in their mind, because they're so self-centered, right? The whole world revolves around their emotions and their feelings and what is going on, while the rest of the world keeps moving. Nobody even knows that you're going through this. Very dangerous, man. قال الفقيه أبو ليث السمرقندي يصل إلى الحاسد 5 عقوبات قبل أن يصل حسده إلى محسوده. Abu Layth al-Samarqandi, one of the scholars of the past, he said that there are 5 punishments that come to the envious person before his envy even reaches the person that he is envious of. 5 punishments. Number 1, أولاها غم لا ينقطع, is a perpetual state of anxiety. The person that is envious of somebody else is always in a state, suffering from a state of anxiety, a perpetual state of anxiety. These are the type of people that go on your internet, on your social media websites. They always looking at your Facebook page, always looking at your Twitter page, looking at how many followers you have, looking at how many tweets you had, looking at this, looking at that. They are in a perpetual state of anxiety, constantly worrying about what you have. And this is a punishment for being envious. The first of the uqubat, of the punishments for being envious of other people. 5 punishments that come to a person because of their envy. Number 1 is a perpetual state of anxiety. Constant worry. You bought a car here, and now they sitting around waiting. I wonder what type of car he gonna buy next. I wonder what type of, is he gonna marry a second wife? Is he gonna marry a third wife? How many wives do we even have? And you're constantly worried, in a state of anxiety, worrying about what this person's next move is going to be. Failing to realize that your anxiety is as a result, is a punishment, as a result of your envy. Number 2, from the punishments of envy, is mudhimmatun la yuhmad alayha, is a constant state of humiliation. When you are envious of somebody else, you are putting yourself at a lower place than they are. Constantly desiring what someone else has, that you are overlooking the blessings that you have, constantly putting yourself in a humiliating state. Number 3, sakhtun min Rabbi subhanahu wa ta'ala, is that you have earned the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. By being envious of other people, you have earned upon yourself the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number 4, musibatun la yu'jar alayha, is that during your time or your state of anxiety, usually in Islam, we are rewarded for going through periods of anxiety. Did you know that? Yes. We are rewarded for going through or suffering through or toiling through or enduring states of anxiety, for reasons that are not necessarily related to envy, but just normal reasons. Some people suffer from anxiety just normally. That's because of the environment they grew up in. Maybe they saw some things in their life, in their childhood, that has created anxiety inside of them, right? So enduring that state, we are usually rewarded for that. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Ma asaba musibatin lil mu'min," that no musibah, no calamity befalls a believer, min hammin aw ghammin, from anxiety or hammin or fear, even the prickling of a thorn, shawkatun yushaquha, even the prickling of a thorn, except that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is removing sin from you. But the Prophet ﷺ said, hammin wa ghammin, gham, which is anxiety. No calamity befalls a believer, whether anxiety or fear or grief, right? Grieving over something, even the prickling of a thorn, except that the pain that you are experiencing while you are enduring that, Allah is removing sin from you. So usually the believer is rewarded for enduring such states. But one of the punishments for being envious of someone is musibatun la yu'jar alayha, is that although you are going through this period of anxiety, you get absolutely no reward for it. There's no reward for it. And number 5, yughlaqu anhu bab at-tawfiq, Number 5, from the punishments of hasad, of envy, is that all of the doors that could possibly be open for you to propel you further in life will be closed on you. Will be closed. So as Muslims, we practice aspects of our deen today in secret out of fear that someone would be jealous of us. That's how rampant envy and jealousy is in our communities. When a brother wants to get married, when a sister wants to get married, the Prophet ﷺ said, "I'linu an-nikah." Make the marriages public. Publicize the marriages. We get married in secret. We don't want anybody to know until the day of. And then we hand select those whom we want to know out of fear. Right? What do we always say? Fear of the evil eye. Right? We don't want the evil eye to afflict us. We don't want some hasidin either hasad, some envious individual out there when they are envious to, see what is going on in our lives and afflict us with the evil eye. So we practice aspects of our deen, like going to Hajj. We go on to Hajj, we don't want to tell nobody until we get the day we getting on that bus, and then everybody find out you're going to make Hajj. Because we don't want anybody to ruin that for us. Sad, man. It's sad that in the African American Muslim community, there's, envy and jealousy is so rampant in our communities that acts of worship that we should be happy to expose. We got to keep a secret until the day of, and out of fear that no one would be envious of us. Having children, and all of the other good blessings that come along with having children. We got to keep that a secret until the day our wives deliver, and then we can kind of say, hey, I had a baby yesterday, but because by then it's post facto, we done already had the baby, and, the damage, we're doing damage control now, because you can't really harm me that much at this point, because alhamdulillah, the baby made it safely into the world. It's just sad. It's sad that this is our case. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructs us to talk about His blessings. Allah says in the Quran, وَأَمَّا بِنِعْمَةِ رَبِّكَ فَحَدِّثْ. And as it relates to the blessings, the favors of your Lord, then talk about them. To say, Allah blessed me with this. Allah loves when we praise Him and we talk about the things that He has done for us. He loves that. But we have to be careful who we say that to, out of fear that the person you open that conversation with might become envious of you because of it. And the scholars, they say, اطفئوا نار الحسد بإخفاء مميزاتك عنهم. The scholars, they say, اطفي نور الحاسد. Put out the fire of the envious person by concealing your distinguishing qualities from them. The qualities that distinguish you from them, conceal those things. Don't expose those things. That is how you put out the fire of the person who is envious. As a matter of fact, the Prophet ﷺ instructed us that when we go to the house of someone who doesn't have much, we shouldn't expose how much we do have. Right? Because number one, you don't want to make them feel bad about what their living situation is like. So if a person is living a very moderate lifestyle, and you pull up in front of their house with a Benz 2016, you get out with a Rolex on, you got $200-300 Gucci shoes on, and you come into their home, you got polo socks on, you got Gucci jeans on, you got a Gucci belt on, you got, a polo, V-neck t-shirt on, and he's inviting you over for iftar, right? He got a few bowls and spoons, he wants you to eat with your hand because it's the sunnah. But in fact, he wants you to eat with your hands because he don't have enough spoons and forks to go around for everybody. Just trying to do some good to invite everybody, and you show up with, bling bling. You shouldn't do that. Because you make the person feel like their living situation, they should be ashamed of themselves for living in that condition. And not only that, you draw unnecessary attention to yourself. Draw unnecessary. This is hikmah. Our religion teaches us hikmah. You don't show up to someone's house who doesn't have much looking like $1 million. And vice versa. You don't go to a gathering where there's people that have money and you looking like a hermit. You don't do that either, because then people frown upon you, look down upon you. I'm always amazed at events, whether at City Hall and Iftar and this event and that event, where there are politicians, people that have money there, and the imam shows up with a wrinkled thobe on, because he doesn't care about the dunya. You only perpetuate the stigma about imams, and people, young children see imams dressed like this. They're not going to want to desire to be an imam. Look at how the imam dress. Look at the type of car he drives. And I'm not criticizing anybody's situation, but some of us in the positions of being imams and students of knowledge and da'is, we don't have to live like we live. We don't have to live like that. All right, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves to see the traces of his bounty on his servant. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala jameel wa yuhibbu jamal wa yuhibbu an yura athara ni'amihi ala abdi. That Allah is beautiful and he loves beauty and he loves to see the traces of his blessings on his servant. We don't have to walk around like looking like $1 million, but we don't have to walk around like we live in a cave somewhere, in Kandahar, in Afghanistan somewhere. We don't have to look like that either. Nonetheless, put out the fire or the flame of the envious person by concealing some of your distinguishing qualities from them. All right? Yusuf alayhi salam, he told his father he saw in a dream 11 stars and the sun and the moon prostrating to me. Right? In the story of Yusuf. He went to his father Yaqub, and Yaqub said to him, Ya bunayya, la taqsus ru'yaka ala ikhwatika fayakiduna laka kayda. Fayakidu laka kayda. O my son, do not narrate your story to your brothers, for at least they plot against you. This is even amongst siblings. Even amongst your brothers, your biological brothers and sisters. Sometimes it might be a good idea to conceal some of the blessings that you have out of fear that you might spark that envy, you might give life to that envy that is in that person. This is even among siblings. This was Yusuf and his own brothers. They were jealous of him. They were envious of him. He said, فَيَكِيدُ لَكَ كَيْدًا إِنَّ الشَّيْطَانَ كَانَ لِلْإِنسَانِ عَدُوًّا. That indeed shaitan is ever an enemy to mankind. So the shaitan plays on our weaknesses. Notice the connection here in the ayah. Shaitan had absolutely nothing to do with what Yusuf was telling his father. Yusuf said, I saw in a dream 11 stars, the sun and the moon, ra'aytuhum li sajidin. I seen them prostrating to me. Yaqub retorted with, do not relay your dream to your brothers. فَيَكِيدُ لَكَ كَيْدًا. Or at least they will plot against you. Then he segues into, إِنَّ الشَّيْطَانَ كَانَ لِلْإِنسَانِ عَدُوًّا. That indeed shaitan is ever an enemy to mankind. Showing you that shaitan plots. He waits. He looks for those weaknesses, looks for those little cracks in the door. That's why, as one of Sufyan al-Thawri, he said, whatever my enemies, he said, "Man ya'rifu nafsah," whoever knows himself, la yadurruhu man ma qala anhu a'da'uhu. Whoever knows himself, what his enemy says about him means absolutely will not harm him in the least. I know myself. I am more critical about me than my enemies will ever be able to be. There's nothing you can say about me that I have not already said about myself. Thank you. There's nothing you can say about me that I don't already know about myself. This is the beauty of ma'rifatun nafs, of having knowledge of self. Right? No pun intended, 5%ers. This is the beauty of having knowledge of self. That when you know yourself, there's nothing that anybody can tell you about yourself that you don't already know. No, I'm going to tell him about himself. Now, let me do you a favor. I done already told myself about myself. So thanks, but no thanks. I've already done your job for you. Don't worry about it. Okay? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Ista'inu ala najahi al-hawa'ij بكتمان فإن كل ذي نعمة فإن كل ذي نعمة محسود. رواه Tabarani. The Prophet ﷺ said that seek assistance in the success of your affairs bil-kitman, by concealing them. He said, for indeed every possessor of a blessing is going to be envied. Inna kulli dhi ni'matin mahsud. Everyone that has a blessing, there's always someone waiting to be envious of you because of it. Don't think that you walking around with your nice job and your nice car and you just got married and everybody is happy for you. Everybody is not happy for you. And if you believe for one moment that because we're all Muslim, we all believe in La ilaha illallah, this is not a Muslim thing, right? This is a personal issue. This is a personal issue, and this could afflict anybody. Doesn't matter who you are. Being Muslim does not safeguard you or protect you from these type of vices. Shaykh al-Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, in his commentary on this hadith, he said this hadith is not sahih and it's not authentic. He said, لكن قضاء الحوائج بلا شك أنه يختلف أحيانا يكون الأفضل للإنسان أن يعلن الحاجة ليقتدي به الناس. Shaykh al-Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, he said this hadith is not authentic. The hadith is where the Prophet ﷺ was reportedly to have said, seek assistance with the success of your affairs by concealing it, for everyone who has a blessing will be envied. He said this hadith is not authentic. He said, but being successful in your affairs, no doubt, it differs from situation to situation. He said sometimes it might be better for you to announce publicly some of the blessings that you do have. He said because that might encourage people to do what you did, to follow in your footsteps, and to receive the same. Okay? Sometimes it might be better for you to expose the fact that you did such and such, or you're going to do such and such, because that might incite other people to do or follow in your footsteps. He said, وَأَحْيَانًا يَكُونَ الْأَفْضَلِ أَن تُخْفِيَهَا ولا سيما في مثل زماننا هذا الذي كثر فيه الحساد وكثر فيه من يعتدون على الناس بما ربما لو أبديت حاجتك للناس نكدوها عليك فعلى كل حال الإنسان ينظر للمصلحة. انتهى كلامه رحمه الله تعالى. He said, and sometimes it might be better for you to conceal your blessings, to conceal it, without a doubt. Sometimes it might be better for you to conceal your blessings. He said, especially in the time that we are living in now. And Sheikh Muhammad ibn Salih al-Uthaymin rahimahullah ta'ala died in 2001, in the beginning of 2001. He said, especially in our time today. And he's not American. He doesn't live in America, he didn't live in America, and probably knew very little about the inner workings of our communities as African American Muslims. But yet he's speaking on his level and to his society and the things that he saw and the things that he's witnessed in his own society. He said, especially in our time today, وَقَدْ كَثَرَ فِيهِ الْحُسَادِ, where envious people have become abundant and people who are transgress against other people who have certain blessings have become abundant. He said, and perhaps you may expose, something that you are getting ready to do to someone else, and they envy you because of it and seek to destroy your endeavor. He says, so in any case, على كل حال, in any rate or in any situation, الإنسان ينظر للمصلحة. The human being or the individual should look at what is best for his situation specifically. Look at your situation specifically. If you have these type of people around you in your circle, then it might be better for you to, think carefully about what you expose and what you don't expose. Umar bin Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he said, ما كانت النعمة نعمة الله على أحد إلا وجه الله لها حاسدا. he said that there is no blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to an individual except that Allah also turns and gives to him someone who will be envious of that blessing. All right, so you appreciate it. When someone is envious of you because of something that you have, it makes you look closer at what you have and value it. If you have a blessing and no one is envious of it, perhaps you may, not count your blessings. Perhaps you may, take it for granted. But when you turn around and you see that someone is envious of you because of something that you have, you start to appreciate that thing more. You appreciate that thing more. We're getting ready to pray in a little bit, inshallah, and I'll conclude after the salat with things or reasons that cause people to be envious, and I'll mention six reasons that cause people to be envious and how we can avoid those things. But I'll conclude with this statement. One of the scholars, he said, الحسد أول ذنب أرسي الله به في السماء يعني حسد إبليس لآدم وأول ذنب أرسي الله به في الأرض يعني حسد ابن آدم لأخيه حتى قتله. The scholars, they say that hasad or envy was the first sin that Allah was disobeyed with in the heavens. And that was the sin of Iblis when he refused to prostrate to Adam out of envy for him. He said, and envy was the first sin that Allah was disobeyed with on earth. And that was the killing of Qabil li Habil, or Cain killing Abel, all right, which were the two sons of Adam. The first murder, first crime on earth. So the first sin that Allah was disobeyed with in the heavens was envy, and the first sin that Allah was disobeyed with on the earth was envy. So, to show you how serious this is, قال عبد الله بن مسعود رضي الله تعالى عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال ثلاث هن أصل كل خطيئة فاتقوهن واحذروهن. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, there are three vices that are the essence of every sin that exists in the world. Three vices are the essence of every sin that exists in the world right now. Meaning, every sin that is in the world right now can find its origin back to these three vices. He said, فَاتَّقُوهُنَّ وَاحْذُرُوهُنَّ. So stay away from these things and be cautious of these three things. He said, إِيَّاكُمْ وَالْكِبْرِ فَإِنَّ إِبْلِيسَ حَمَلَهُ الْكِبْرَ عَلَى أَنْ لَا يَسْجُدَ لِآدَمَ. He said, I caution you against kibr, against arrogance. He said, for indeed arrogance was the sin that caused Iblis not to prostrate to Adam. He said, وَإِيَّاكُمْ وَالْحِرْصِ فَإِنَّ آدَمْ حَمَلَهُ الْحِرْصِ أَنْ يَأْكُلَ مِنَ الشَّجَرَةِ. He said, and I caution you against hirs, against being vigilantly or to be desirous of things. He said, because it was because of this sin that caused Adam to eat from the tree. To have a desire for something so bad, right? Al-hirs, to be vigilant and to be, diligent upon having something, so diligent. All right, you ever see a person who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has tried to show them in more ways than one that this thing is not for you, but we still press on, even though all of the red flags are there. Every time we try to pursue it, the door closes in our face, but we're still going after it. And then once we finally get it, we realize that it wasn't really what we wanted. It was the chase that you were addicted to. It wasn't having the thing, it was the chase. Some of us as men, we do this with women. We chase a woman. All of the red flags pointing to the fact that this woman is not good for you. She might be good for somebody else, but she's not good for you. We said, well, such and such was married to him, and that didn't really work out with them, but I'm not him. It's going to work for me. Right? Your parents tell you, no, I don't think that girl's a good look for you. Your friends tell you, no, I don't think it's a good look for you. Her previous situations show you that it's not a good look for you. But you're still going to keep pushing the envelope until you get it. And then finally, once you get it, you don't want it. Because you realize that it wasn't her that you were after. It was, you were addicted to the chase. It was the chase. All right? So, and this is true even with drug users. People who spend their whole day chasing crack, chasing cocaine, chasing dope. All right? It's not the actual drug. It's the chase. It's the whole day chasing. They're on the street corner talking to these people, kicking it with them, busting it up with them. And then you over here busting it up with them. And then you got enough money to go get you another bag. And then you got that bag, but then you need another bag. And then you back out in the streets again. You just will not go home. Because it's not about the drug. It's the chase. All right? The same thing with drug dealers. I'm always amazed with the drug dealers in prison who try to make it look like the drug dealers are the real problem. The drug users are the problem. Ah, he's a crackhead. You're a crackhead. You're not addicted to drugs, but you're addicted to the lifestyle that your drugs provide. You're addicted to the lifestyle. You are just as much an addict as the same people that you condemn. I'm amazed that guys go to jail, young boys go to jail, and you looking down on somebody who get high. Because he don't have no teeth in his mouth. He's a crackhead. He's a dope fiend. His hands is big. His feet is big. But you're just as bad as he is. You may have all your teeth in your mouth, but you don't have no brain cells left. You're using a drug that destroys with every puff, destroys millions of brain cells. Every time you take a puff from a blunt, destroying millions of brain cells. But yet you have the audacity to look down on somebody else because they sniff heroin or they sniff cocaine or they smoke crack. You're addicted to the lifestyle. It's the chase. So he said, Iyakum wal hirs. I caution you against chasing. He said that desire is what destroyed Adam. It caused Adam to eat from the tree. He just had to, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him, don't eat from the tree. But he just had to go and taste it because men want what they can't have. That's our nature. We want what we can't have. It's a wonder that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had not told Adam to eat from the tree, would Adam have even desired the tree? We want what we can't have. And then when we get it, we realize we really didn't want it. Because it wasn't the thing that we were after. It was the process, the chase that we were after. All right? He said, and thirdly, he said, وَإِيَّاكُمْ وَالْحَسَدْ فَإِنَّ بْنِي آدَمْ إِنَّ قَتَلَ أَحَدَهُمْ صَاحِبَهُ حَسَدًا رَوَاهُ بَيْهَقِي. He said, and I caution you against envy. He said, because envy is what drove one of the sons of Adam to kill his own brother out of envy. Out of envy. So these three sins, these three vices are the origin of the world's problems. Arrogance, desire, and envy. Every sin that is committed on this earth finds its origin in these three vices. And inshallah ta'ala, we'll stop here for the salat and we'll continue after the salat inshallah with the 6 reasons why people find themselves envious of other people and how to avoid the evil eye bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallama tasliman kathira wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.